Hello and welcome to Lunchtime Politics, reaching you live from Nigeria's global headquarters, Channels Television, as well as Nigeria's commercial nerve center, Lagos. I'm Jeffrey Uzama, and what we have to do here is to tell you what exactly has been playing out, and a lot has played out in politics and in national security. But let's bring you the headlines. Justice Peter Leaf of the Federal High Court orders the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to deregister 5 political parties for non-compliance with Section 225A of the 1999 Constitution. The parties are reacting. Troops rescue wife of late Major General Rabi Abubakar in Katsina as gunmen kill 3 security personnel in Kuru area of Jos, the Plateau State capital. Thanks again for joining us on the program. I'm Jeffrey Uzama. It's going to be particularly engaging because of the caliber of my guests who has served at the highest level of the military. Is going to be coming in just a moment. Before all of that, let's talk to you about politics, where the ADC has strongly rejected a Federal High Court judgment concerning its deregistration, describing the ruling as a threat to democracy and political stability. The party alleges that the judgment contradicts the provision of the INEC, that's Independent National Electoral Commission, and disregards subsisting Court of Appeal stay of proceedings on the matter. In a statement by its National Publicity Secretary Bolaji Abdullahi, the ADC accused elements within the ruling party and the government of attempting to undermine the opposition politics ahead of the 2027 general election. The party argued that only INEC has the constitutional authority to register or deregister political parties and insisted that no legal grounds exist for its removal from the ballot. The ADC says it will challenge the ruling through all legal and constitutional means, including a petition to the National Judicial Council over the conduct of the presiding judge. And away from that, the governor of Katsina State, Diko Rada, has unveiled a tough new security measures aimed at crippling the operations of bandits and kidnappers across the state. The directive announced after an emergency security meeting with security agencies and traditional rulers include a statewide ban on sale, purchase and transportation, as well as storage of petroleum products in jerry cans, among others. Governor Rada says intelligence reports indicate that some of the facilities were being exploited by criminal networks to coordinate and sustain their activities. Meanwhile, the governor paid a solidarity visit to Mrs. Amina Rabi Abubakar, wife of the late Major General Rabi Abubakar, following her rescue from the captivity by troops of Operation Fasanyama. It commended the Nigerian Army for what it described as a swift and professional operation. The FCT Police Command, in collaboration with the Federal Capital Territory Development Authority, has demolished a bandits hideout in Biazin area of Kubwa on the outskirts of the FCT. The FCT Commissioner of Police, who led the demolition, says the exercise is another breakthrough in sustaining a sustained crackdown on kidnapping and banditry across the FCT. He adds that the successes recorded so far reflect the invaluable support and cooperation of all well-meaning residents of the FCT, whose timely intelligence and cooperation contributed significantly to these achievements.
This is Ziko, a community on the outskirts of Biaji area of Kubwa, where persons suspected to be bandits and kidnappers forcefully detain their victims. In a swift and coordinated operation, personnel of the FCT Police Command, led by the Commissioner of Police, stormed the area for this demolition exercise. The reason behind the demolition is explained, just as residents are advised to report suspicious movements.
This is where they plan their heinous activities. Other kidnappers come here to take food. They prepare their food from this place for themselves and their captives. Then they take from here and go. So based on their confession and also coming here to point their houses, their abode, we think it is only right for this place to go down.
Following the recent anti-kidnapping and rescue operations led by the FCT Commissioner of Police on the 9th of June 2026 in Paze, Biaji area of the FCT, the police disclosed that a follow-up operation was conducted on the 11th of June 2026. This led to the arrest of suspected kidnapper informants, drug dealers and logistics suppliers, including a man who allegedly imprisoned his younger sister for 16 months under inhumane conditions.
On the 12th of June 2026, the command received a distress call indicating that a woman identified as Mrs. Grace Adio Annie Oku, a 36-years-old indigenous of another person, was held captive under chains and locked in a room by her brother, one Mr. Chinedu Anikoku, for over 1 year and 4 months.
As the police sustains the fight against banditry and kidnapping, residents are advised to report suspicious movement of criminal elements who have infiltrated the local community, enabling them to gather intelligence and coordinate repeated attacks on targeted persons and locations.
All right, we'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll return to the conversation. Stay with us. So let's get started with the conversation. A lot has happened in our politics and in the polity, and one of which is the national insecurity that we've experienced in the last maybe almost 15 years. But it escalates, de-escalates, continues to escalate. As we speak right now, a lot of people don't feel safe in our country, and the reasons are quite obvious. Mass kidnapping. Our Major General was recently abducted, and he died in captivity. The circumstance of his death is still a subject of debate. How his body was even retrieved is still a subject of debate. But the good news is that his wife has been rescued from the abductors. So that is at least a bright spot. But we still have the children in Oyo, children in Borno, and several other places that you're familiar with. Well, who is better to speak about this issue than someone who has actually been on the field to understand the dynamics of how military operations work and his own possible intervention of how this can be brought under control. I have with me right here in our Lagos studios former Air Chief Marshal and former Chief of Defense Staff, Oluseyi Pentiri, joins us right here in our Lagos City. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
We also have the Otumba Felix Alao, is the Apex Club of Lagos president. Is he president or chairman? Chairman. Thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you.
Let me stay with you. Permit me if I mistakenly called you general because you're at that level. What's your interpretation of what is going on in our country?
You see, any serious problem cannot have just one cause. There are many issues that came together and brought us to where we are. So of course, there are issues of weak governance, issues of not doing the right thing at the right time. There are issues of how we are even combating the problem. Are we combating it the right way? Are we doing the right things to finally bring it to an end? So these are many other things about what needs to be considered. So it's not just one problem. It's not just one happenstance that caused this whole the issues that are now bedeviling us.
You have what I call, by virtue of when you served as a CDS, I think under the Goodluck Jonathan administration, you have the foresight or the ability to look in retrospect of how things picked up from where they are. And now it has snowballed. So initially when it started, it actually was in Borno area. In fact, there was a time, they say 14 local governments were under the control of these elements. But now that is not happening. However, it has literally metastasized all over the country. From kidnapping to banditry to terrorism, all kinds of things are happening. If you look back as at then, what do you think could have been done differently that may not have brought us here? I know this is like medicine after death, but if we can cast our mind back to that time, maybe we have an idea of what we're dealing with now and a recommendation for the government of the day.
Okay. Let me tell you what a former chief of defense staff told me. You see, opposite his house, there's a mosque. You know, they build, in that part of the country, people build mosques either inside their compound or just around their houses. You know. So he had a mosque in front of him. He said one day he was just going somewhere. He decided to attend the afternoon prayer. He entered and somebody was preaching. You know, he has a director for the mosque. So he entered his mosque. Somebody was there preaching. And that after that sermon, he called his director and warned him that this man, I don't want him here again. Never let this man come here to preach again. The way his preaching was so, you know, he didn't like it. The issue is this. Is there anywhere where we look at all these preachers to see the kind of things? Is there anywhere we license them? I don't know. I don't think there is. I don't think in this country nobody licenses anybody, except maybe by the religious bodies themselves. That guy turned out to be Yusuf. So we could have nipped this thing in the bud.
Yusuf would have started Boko Haram?
Yes.
Wow.
So we could have nipped this thing in the bud if we had started early, if we had put certain things in place. If a man preaches in a very, very divisive manner and so on, we should be able to call him. We should be able to call him to order. Yeah. So that was not there, and I'm sorry to say, I don't think it is even there now. There's nobody that looks at all that. So it snowballs, and then a lot of things. Then, of course, there's, again, weak policing. It's another problem. Weak policing in the sense that, not totally their fault, but weak policing all the same. And until we get policing right, which I'm happy the present government is now doing something about.
Do you really think state police has now been accelerated? Because we've heard the bills have passed, but you know the constitutional process, it has to now go through the state assemblies. Do you think state police can help? And how far can it help? I'll come to you, Mr. Lau, in just a moment.
Okay. Of course it will help. Because if the governor, the various governors, if they now have control of their own state police, they should be able to nip problems in the bud quicker. They should be able to prevent things from snowballing into very serious issues. That is just basically it. In fact, I had said that if we couldn't get state policing going, can the president allow all the policemen that are in the various states to come under the governor's operational control? Not necessarily administrative, but operational control. But since state policing is now already on the board, let us continue with it. It is definitely going to improve things. And not only because it will make reaction quicker, but at least the governor now knows I cannot push the blame to Abuja.
Let me bring it to Mr. Allah. I'm going to come to you on the core components of how you served and how it can help. Because right now we're in search of solution. We're united against terror, but we'll hold government accountable because they have the levels of power, they have the monopoly of violence, they manage the sovereignty of our states, and we cannot be overrun by terrorists, whether they are sponsored internally or externally. We have a responsibility to keep Nigeria before anything else.
That's correct.
What's your impression?
Well. For me, the federal government has taken a very, very bold step to finally succumb to the need for state policing. State policing has three major advantages, in my view. The first is that you are dealing with people that have the same culture, the same language, the same tradition, the same quick understanding. When you put such together, the chances of the ease of communication, the resilience of the people, the push of various people speak the same language together, tend to kind of make people be more efficient. Secondly, proximity. I remember very well that Okija Shrine had an issue some time ago during the, I think the Tafawa Balogun of blessed memory was the Inspector General. We had people who were taking people to a shrine somewhere in Okija, and at the end of the day, virtually everybody that was involved, the criminals put together, people from the shrine, had to be like moved to Abuja. In other words, the Inspector General of Police has to give instructions to 36 different states simultaneously. How efficient would that be? So the problem of proximity to response to security situations is extremely difficult here. And then thirdly, the people themselves. You have a situation where the country is not all that highly, a very high percentage of ill-educated people. Therefore, you expect somebody who's speaking Hausa to you, but the policeman doesn't speak Hausa. You see somebody speaking Yoruba to you, are trying to solve a problem, a crime in a Yoruba-speaking area, and the police officer in charge is an Igbo man. He doesn't speak Yoruba. So you have all these interplay of factors that will make state policing a little bit better than what we have right now. It's difficult for policing to be centralized. It won't work.
Okay. I'm going to come to you in just a moment, but let's tell our DSTV viewers who will be live on other platform, but on DSTV we'll head to Abuja for the commissioning of the appeal court judges' quarters in the FCT under the leadership of the FCT minister and the Ministry of the FCT. But that will be only on our DSTV platform. That will continue our conversation right here on other platforms. Let me come to you, sir. The word I was looking for that time was the benefit of hindsight. You served at the highest level. You served at the inception of this whole crisis. So you have a bit of record that a lot of us may not have. The one part that has always been contentious, in fact, it divides even the Senate, has been the issue of funding. Funding, are we funding the military enough? Or is about, because when we hear big numbers and we're like, we're spending all this. For instance, 2026 budget, the defense and security accounts for 55.4 trillion naira. That is bigger than the budget of sometime under the national budget. Some national budget in the past, it was bigger. That is just for defense and security. So from your experience, when we hear these monies, do they really release these monies or these monies are mismanaged? Because for those of us who are civilians, we'll keep blaming you people like, you people have all the money. Why are you not doing what you're supposed to do? So what do we need to do, sir?
You must understand that the budget is simply a statement of intentions.
I agree. Yeah, Max.
Now, if the money that government thought it would get simply doesn't come in, there's no way you can push through that budget. So what actually comes out depends on what is available. So throughout my service, I can't remember when we got everything that we asked for. It simply doesn't happen. That is one. Of course, I'm not at all trying to absolve everybody of blame, because the next thing again is, are we using the money right? Are we buying the right things? Or are we just buying, things that will not be very useful?
That's another question.
For the problem at hand. And that is why I said it during my opening statement, that there's the issue of, are we fighting these problems rightly? Are we doing the right things? I've always said that the problem at hand is, in fact, maybe 20% military effort, running after bandits and these things. It's just 20% of the effort. The 80% of the effort is supposed to be done by other people, by other ministries and agencies. But unfortunately, Nigerians and maybe even the government are under this impression that military force is just what we need. This is essentially a policing problem. It's a policing problem, and once it is a policing problem, then we are talking about, all right, how do we educate the public? How do we get people to work together, to play together? I will give you an example. There was a problem on the plateau when I was the Chief of Defense Staff. And what I did was simply to get the Birom community and the Fulani community, they were playing football on weekends against each other. The problem died down.
By that singular act?
By that singular act. So which means even the Ministry of Youth, Ministry of Sports is supposed to be involved. You see? So these are many of the things that we are not doing that, and then, so we keep blaming the military.
So we're actually overstretching our military.
We are giving them jobs they were not trained for. The Nigerian Defense Academy, where we are trained, nobody teaches kidnapping.
Could that be the reason why we're failing?
Nobody teaches kidnapping.
Could that be the reason why we're failing?
No. I've told you, there is no single reason.
Okay. Let me go to Mr. Lau to begin to close on your own fight, because he's made a very, very profound statement that this is a hydra-headed problem.
It is.
That needs different kinds of approach to be able to resolve, with an example of how we approach it with sports.
It is.
What's your closing thought? And also maybe about the Apex Club. Is there a military club or something?
No. It's a private organization, runs like any other club, but essentially we focus on helping the poor.
Okay.
Our vision is service to humanity.
Okay.
So we want to help the vulnerable in society. Yeah.
So talk to us about your last, before I take General, 30 seconds and 30 seconds.
In respect of the security.
Yes. Your last stop, 30 seconds.
Thank you very much. My real biggest fear is the supply base for terrorists.
Okay.
There is every time we see social media, there is a very long queue of people they call amajiris. I'm talking about people who are illiterates, they are jobless, they are unemployable, and there is a long queue of people begging for food. So poverty has played a very, very critical role in escalating violence in Nigeria. Because when somebody is hungry, he gets angry, and then he's ready to do. So we need to tackle joblessness. We need to tackle.
CDS, sir. Your last thought. I'm told I have 20 seconds to get out of here. 20 seconds. You can just your landing thought, sir.
Okay. So just as I said, look, education. Yes. If you don't, I thought by now all the northern states would have said, look, education, at least to primary school level, is free and compulsory. That has not been done. You see, once you have a pool of uneducated people, in a country like ours, there will always be people who have a grudge. And once they have people to recruit, they will always get something going.
So, thank you so much. Conversations with persons like you is not supposed to be short, but the program is a short program. Former Chief of Defense Staff, former Air Chief Marshal Oluseyi Penterin, thank you for coming on the program. Also, the Apex Club of Lagos, is he president or chairman?
Chairman.
Otumba Felix Alao, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much for having us.
And that's it on the program. Thank you so much for your time and company. I'm Jeff Uzama. Bye-bye.